type of clients. And so I'm work with a lot of companies that are bringing products to market, or they have a good, solid, performing marketing team, but it's just not quite getting the results that they're looking for. I'm the person who comes in and helps align the marketing team strategy with company strategy, get products out the door and market ready, and help companies improve their efficiency and their revenue generation, their growth.
What have you found that either tech wise or just business practice wise that was a great idea or just something that failed miserably? Don't do it, guys.
Well, I think speaking as a veteran CMO, what I would say to everybody is everybody wants to understand what is the silver bullet that I can generate all kinds of revenue and spur 30% CAGR. And the answer is there really isn't one. It's very customized for each scenario. It requires a lot of activity on a lot of different channels that's highly coordinated. I've done a lot of interviews for growth marketers, hoping to hear what is the latest silver bullet. And I can tell you, don't waste your time on that. There isn't one. AI will help, but it'll never tell you, hey, do this one thing and you'll get rich. It's really a matter of understanding your market, understanding their pain, but more than anything, understanding yourself and the purpose of your company in a way that you can articulate the value to your target market. I see a lot of companies that cannot and do not do that. They're trying to sell themselves as everything to everybody. And if you ever try to do that, you will be nothing to nobody. So it pays very, very much to be very targeted, very, very focused, and pay attention to your customer.
Yeah, keep it simple. If you have to explain like way too long to figure out what you do, it's not going to come across well anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you could say I'm the Uber of this, even though you might, even if you don't like a particular company, make it relatable. And when you're pitching on LinkedIn and email, don't pitch. You know, say, hey, are you going to an event? I want to get your input on that. There's really a lot of things you should be doing that require just asking a simple opinion question, or are you going to be at this particular event or city at
The
this
one thing you
time?
can do for everybody on the call, almost everybody gets too technical, regardless of your product or service, when you try to describe it to your target market.
Yeah.
You have to speak to them in their voice, in the customer voice. You have to meet them where they are. If you make them do the work to understand how I would take the feature you just explained to me and apply it to my problem, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Don't ask them to do the work. You need to do that translation work for them. Uh, you need to meet them where they are.
I'll actually show you guys a really quick screenshot of something that I'm using for meetings. Let me do a real quick screen share here. There's a lot of note takers in here, and what I found that I use is Fireflies. I don't get paid to talk about them at all. They're growing pretty fast. But what I did after it records, it kind of sums up my whole meeting with this person, like I just did. And I said, hey, they have a thing called Ask Fred, which is an AI inside of that note taker. I said, write a recap email to remind her what we talked about last time. So this is what it came up with when I just showed this yesterday. It's like, so instead of going bullet point on what we talked about, what are next steps in doing it from memory or spending 30 minutes, 40 minutes on building something like this, I wake up in the middle of the night, go, wait, what if I just ask the AI inside of this tech to do this for me? And it really comes up with a really nice summary of what we talked about without me spending. I'm not a great writer, so I use ChatGPT a lot, but I don't know what, AI this is built into Fireflies, but this is a great thing to kind of look at. And like with this one, it actually kind of does it as well. You could share these notes with people, but I really like the whole Ask Fred, which is their AI. So
Hey,
that's
Mike,
yeah.
it's 10, 80, 10. 10% your idea, 80% let AI do the bulk of it.
Yeah.
And 10%, you got to make sure to humanize it.
Yep.
Review it, read it, make sure it comes out as your voice. If you're not
Well,
going to
actually, their
give.
voice too, because I mean, if they people love to hear themselves talk, or they wanted, they said, what I learned like back when I was at Monster.com, my boss was saying, "What I heard you say, Samantha, was," and she would say that all the time. I'm like, she just sounds so good at doing that. So repeating back what you just heard, that's kind of what this is doing, right? But when
Yep.
you're doing, my best question in a discovery call is, Steve, what brought you to the table today? Like, what had you book a time with me to learn more? And I just shut up. And they'll tell me, well, I'm doing this and I don't have enough leads and blah, blah, blah. I mean, what I basically do is open the door. I do email, LinkedIn, and these roundtables, and I basically build all this go to market strategy so people can get leads. And I'm surrounded around signal data and event data. Like, hey, are you going to this event? Can I build an event for you? And that gets me 15 to 20 meetings every single day. I have 14 to 15 meetings today, tomorrow, and the next day. You know, find partners like I did with Steve and Doug and Mitchell, where you say, hey, they're selling to the same people. Why should I create like some event with them and they get my LinkedIn and I get their LinkedIn and we're all win-win? It's the same thing when you go to an event, you say, you know what? Let's take out our 10 best clients each. We take them to dinner. God, the only thing bad about that is you got to go to the event. You probably need a booth, and then you're going to have to spend $15,000 on liquor and food. So great, still great, right? But how could you do this on 2, 3 times a month without spending a lot of money? And that's where I kind of built this whole roundtable approach, where I haven't really charged for it. I will be selling some like sponsorships on top of this at one point, but that's one thing I wanted to show you as well is that whole approach. On LinkedIn, I wanted to kind of throw a bone to Andrew Perry, who's on the call, who has a really cool tech that I think I'm going to be working with. Andrew, are you there?
I'm here, Michael. How are you? Thank you.
Good. Andrew, tell me why you joined the roundtable today and something that you were hoping to learn from the group.
Well, a little bit about myself. I've been in digital for a long time, about 20 years, and marketing about that same amount of time as well. Formerly a teacher turned marketer, which inevitably is the same thing I've learned. But yeah, we're a paid media demand gen agency, to put quite simply. And honestly, I think what I'm looking to get out of this is just to hear the conversation, how it flows, and just to meet some new folks, to see what you know the Firefly thing. If I could learn one thing today, that would be it. I've seen it used on me. Now, just to thank you for the screen share. So,
Yeah,
just sharing of the ideas, among other leaders in our industry or others. So, thank you for the invite.
yeah, glad to have you. I mean, Blaze.ai, I got told about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. That's posting on my site, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on X. I mean, that was a really cool thing I learned. Blaze.ai. I don't know who told me that, but again, I would never know about this stuff. I mean, if someone was looking for a way to, I don't want to post all these different posts every week and that's my job. I want to talk to people and sell. So that's why I built my service to kind of do what people shouldn't do, right? And automate what you can and humanize, like as Steve was saying, what you shouldn't automate, which is response. This is dating, whether you want to believe it or not. This is business dating. So don't come on too strong and don't make it like you're just cutting and pasting. That's what a lot of SDRs have done to get leads. And to be honest with you, you want to use SDRs more and teach them how to sell. Sales development reps. Those are like the lead gen kids. Don't just have them press buttons all day and say this is a sales job. It's not. They burn out. Um,
There's
so
also two other ones that are really good. Fathom for note taking.
yeah,
It's got a really good engine in AI to ask questions of, especially if you got static data. And also the other thing you were just talking about, What was that you just mentioned? The second one you just learned.
Blaze.ai.
Right, and that's used for what?
I'll bring it up here real quick.
Yeah, sparked something in my head. I wanted to tell you about another one that was really good.
I don't want to
That's
spark
what I'm
anything in your head because you're a Marine that you might kind of start doing weird stuff.
saying. Don't worry, it's Halloween. It's a
Okay.
good
Yeah,
time.
I've used a
Hello,
lot of
everyone.
these, and Otter.ai is another good
Yeah.
one.
Yep,
Um,
Otter's good.
Yeah, I
Jeff,
use Otter.
even Google Meet has like their
Oh,
own built in, like
Hmm.
their
now I
Gen.
remember Social Pilot is another good like
Yeah.
posting platform.
So like this Blaze.ai one is basically you build your brand. That they basically you connect it to your LinkedIn, to your Google, to your YouTube, and it posts you load up all your documents and it starts creating posts. I
Yeah,
mean,
you schedule it.
yeah, this is what. Let's see. I think this is what it posts for me today. Let's see. I mean, it's not like awesome, but it's pretty good. I mean, I just don't have the time to do all these posts. I have 32,000 connections, but I think this is the one that they did earlier. Yeah, this one right here. Foolproof in business grows and adopting lead gen technologies. Automation isn't a luxury. Blah blah blah. They put this thing here. It's kind of like it zooms in, and again, it's not something I would write all day long, but it's good. I don't know if it's like perfect, but
Yeah, just
yeah,
keep the human in the loop, man.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
What do you think? I don't know if you know this, Steve, but I like my own posts because I know that LinkedIn looks at like if it doesn't get any likes at all, then I just posted this. I mean, Blaze did just a couple minutes ago, but do you know
I
anything
try and
about
write content that the clients are looking for. So I try to write to my audience, like Doug was saying, what problems am I solving for the people that I'm trying to work with?
Yeah,
Because they don't really care about anything else except for what's in it for them.
yeah. What's in it
Let's
for
be
them?
fair, you know.
Yeah, when you write the emails or LinkedIn or whatever, like who cares? So what? Why you tell me this? And how does this affect my job? If you can't
Mhm.
talk to here or here, it's a waste of time.
Yep.
So I would definitely do that. I mean, LinkedIn should be automated. I know a lot of you're not supposed to do too much automation on LinkedIn, but I would definitely use LinkedIn for communication that's human, right? And you can automate that, but think about don't repeat. I see that you worked here and you have a great career. You are magnificent. That sounds shitty. It does. It doesn't sound real. Say, hey, Andrew, I see that you're in marketing. Are you going to HubSpot's conference in June? I just wanted to see if you had any opinion about the conference. You know, that's an opinion question, has nothing to do, you're not selling yourself, but what you're doing is you're opening the door, right? Make a list of every show that you would go to and then scrape the list, the hashtags of the people that are going, and then the rest of it, guess who should go and ask them if they're going. Again, you don't need attendee list really to decide if you want to reference that show. You don't even need to go to the show. I did this for HubSpot and I had 4,000 messages go out. I had 650 responses and 55 meetings. Didn't go to HubSpot, the inbound conference. I mean, I wanted to. It's a lot of time and money just to fly across the country. And then, if you think about a show, if you don't have 50 meetings set up or 10, now you're going to go around and say, hey, David, what do you do? Hey, Michelle, what do you do? You're fishing. You have no clue where that bait's landing. I want to know that I have 15 meetings of people I want to talk to. So, I mean, I did that for the HR Gardner conference that's in Orlando today. And so I went down there and met with a company that does learning management system. And he was the chief business officer. I mean, that's a pretty good way of you getting actually a face to face. And all I did is met him at the coffee shop. Gartner's about $5,000 to attend. So really start looking at whether you use me or someone else in this on this platform here. Why should they care? And that's they're going to be at a conference. They have the why. You just got to figure out why. They can figure out why is it. right? They're going, but you don't know why they are going. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of point out. Anybody have any questions so far?
No, I've got an idea here though.
Oh yeah,
I use a thing called Gia, and Gia is, I can share my screen in a sec as well. But basically, it's sort of the note takers that you guys have been talking about as well. But what it does is it takes your transcript and it writes you LinkedIn posts based on what you've spoken about. So it gives you 3 LinkedIn posts per call that you've had. So if, Michael, to your point, you've gone and spoken to now these people that are like, what are you going to get out of this conference? And like the HubSpot one, for example,
right.
those could then become your LinkedIn posts because then you're educating the rest of your group. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
LinkedIn has come out with a or like someone else who works on LinkedIn has come out with a study recently, I think last week, on how LinkedIn is starting to push out posts. And what they're doing now is they push out to your initial, like your first degree connections first. Depending on the response from those, then it goes to second. Depending on the response from those, then it goes to the rest. So that's
Yeah.
the new way that LinkedIn is pushing out as of the last couple of months.
Yeah. Thanks for chiming in. Please, this is for everybody, so we could do this in a sequence. Please raise your hand and then also be on camera too. But those are great tips. Beth.
So I kind of want to add on to what you said and what Doug said, which is your buyers today do not care about what you sell. I give this example, like if your prospect is here on a mountaintop and your outcome is over here, this is known as Death Valley. They absolutely do not want to take a risk. And so what you are selling is actually the information you have in your head, the experiences. So like, what questions should they be asking? What mistakes might they be making? What things are they overlooking? What's changing in the environment? They're so busy, they have a full-time job, but you do this every day, so you just know things. So I just thought what
Yeah.
Doug said about the, easy button, that's what everybody wants. Doesn't exist.
Yeah. And definitely get Calendly or HubSpot. Make it simple for someone to book. But I learned this also. Here's my Calendly. People get pissy about that. You want to ask them, hey, do you have a calendar? Or can I send you mine? Here it is if you could book something. But if you just say, here's my calendar, I want to sell you, you know, they get a little agitated that you're asking them to fill out this form to book a time with you and you want to have a sales call with them. So think about, and I actually I kind of now relate to that because I was like, what do you mean? I'm giving you my calendar. But you know what? I don't necessarily want to fill that out all the time. And don't have 15 questions for them to book a call. Like, how much ARR are you doing? What's your total addressable market? You know, all I ask, please share something with me that's going to help me prepare for this meeting. That's what I ask of mine. And I make sure I get a phone number and an email. And well, the email address would be already included, but I want a phone number, I want a title, and I want why did you book the call? Because if you have no clue, like, why they booked the call, you're going to get on the call and go, so you booked the call, so how can I help? That's not a good way to start a call. It's like, I saw that Steve Furman sends you a message and you worked with him in the past. So were you calling about, you're asking about the roundtable, right? So that's, at least I have an idea of what the call is. Donna.
So yeah, a couple things. Number one, I just think
wait. What?
Yes.
So we know what people do. What do you do, and where do you live?
So I am based in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a fractional or virtual information security officer and AI governance and data privacy. So I'm listening to the discussion about AI and using it and note taking, and I just kind of I put something in the chat. I use AI, but I have a disclosure that I send out with it. So if you're using an AI for note taking and you're talking about confidential stuff, and then the AI is taking the notes, and then you're using an AI to post, stuff of the summary, the AI doesn't know. All right, so you have to have some rules for yourself before, of what you're going to apply. So I'm really hesitant to use some of the AI note takers. The disclosure letter that I did. So I just I put that in there, but I recently used AI because I did a tabletop exercise for a client. It was a ransomware. We simulated to see how would the organization respond. So I had my slides, I had the notes. I was able to put that in there, but I didn't put in anybody's name. I didn't put anybody's title. I didn't put any tool names in. I didn't put anything that could uniquely identify that client. So I'd really caution you, like as you're using these tools, functionality is great. And yeah, it might be really easy, but it only takes one person to like let the cat out of the bag, and something that's highly sensitive can get out there, and you're going to tank your small business that way. Because if it's attributed back to you, you're dead. All right. So just please be careful.
Gotcha.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that too? Because I'm curious how to, in the case that you are utilizing AI for things like project tracking, right? Like I don't work in a field where there's necessarily a ton of like data privacy for the stuff that I'm generally saving for projects, but I can see in a lot of fields where there's going to be, personally identifiable information or like HIPAA compliance, things like that. Is there, because all of these LLMs are open source for the most part, if you're hosting that locally, does that eliminate a lot of the security? I'm asking because it sounds like you do like AI governance to a large degree as part of what you do.
So I was going back and forth. There was actually a security conference last week. We were talking about if it's a local LLM, what's the risk of that? Yeah, I am hyper risk averse. All right. So unless I have written it myself, because the NSA could say, hey, put a back door in for us, or this one could put a back door, or hey, there's a call home, or there's, with the updates, this is actually how several security incidents happen, is there was a trusted connection to an update, or something where there is a vulnerability. It might be low, but there is. All right. So just when I'm doing a report and I handle sensitive information, I do the report in pieces. So like I did have a participants list, in this exercise. I did have names of the tools. I stripped all of that stuff out, and then I added it back into the final report manually, but I tried to structure the document so that the sensitive stuff was all in one section, and then I could just paste that section in there.
You can ask AI to take out any names. You don't need to do it manually.
Well, you just gave it the names, though. Do you understand?
The names have already been given. It's
The
already
names
got the
are already
information.
given. If you put them in there to the AI, you just gave the names to the AI. And
I don't even think you have to submit it.
Just two quick suggestions in this. A,
Right.
you should have either your own LLM that you host yourself in either AWS or here with security, or you should pay the extra money for the siloed versions of, let's say, Chat Enterprise, which will give you your own siloed data.
That's like Azure GPT and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you would get your own repository. Also,
And
with the Fathoms and the note takers,
like we were a little rushed
in New Jersey, I don't have to tell you I'm recording.
follow up
It's not a
and chat
requirement.
more.
Can you guys mute whoever's has that background?
Yeah, but if you're dealing with people like, I don't know, some of you live in different states than New Jersey, I'm sure, I would need to at least get your permission. So on my Fathom, I have it ask permission before a meeting. Are you okay if we record this meeting? And then and it's got timestamp, date stamp, and their IP address.
And usually on these types of calls that I record, this is kind of a group, you're talking in front of a bunch of people, but when you're talking to a prospect client or doing a workshop, I don't ever personally post stuff from that unless I make it, take out the names. That's just kind of that's like a one-to-one that people kind of think that you're not going to be putting it out there. Mike, what do you got? Where you from? What do you do? And what's something you learned?
All right, so I'm from Rhode Island, so I'm up northeast. I'm a B2B growth consultant working with early to growth stage startups, Series A, Series B type startups. The one thing I learned is a lot about this AI stuff that I want to bring to the table, which is a little bit less sophisticated than what we've been just talking about, but indicators that you're using AI that have come up that shocked me this week in a conversation I had with someone. If you're familiar with the M dash, which is that longer dash, that was something in particular that I've always used in my writing just normally.
What is? I don't know what that is. What is that?
So if you like, for example, it's the longer hyphen. So there's the hyphen, which is a dash. Then there's an N. There's an N dash, EN dash, which is slightly longer. Then there's an M dash, EM dash, which is even longer. Apparently, those are telltale signs you're using AI. Is because it always defaults to the M dash when you put a dash in. Now, what I found interesting as well is if you use the Google workspace to do your work, like I'm on Google platform, so I use Google Docs all the time. It always defaults to that M dash, which I never had an issue with because that's what I've always used. Secondly, double spacing.
How about the emojis that I see like ChatGPT put in?
Emojis too. That's another thing that a woman literally told me the other day. Like you have telltale signs. The emojis was one I always take those out when I use ChatGPT. The M dash I never was concerned about, and then also double spacing after a period is now a telltale sign that you're using AI.
They have AI checkers you can run your documents through,
and some of them pick up. I have a couple of them I use.
Put those in chat. The ones that are good for that.
The one that I use.
Grammarly's got a good one.
Which one did you say?
Grammarly.
Yeah, I use Grammarly. Grammarly's pretty good. Zero GPT is another one I use. That one's a little bit more sophisticated than Grammarly. It picks up on more of the tone of what you're writing, and the other one is GPT zero. But they don't always pick up the double spacing. That was something like, I mean, I'm old. Like I was taught to double space after a period, you know? And it's like that now is a telltale sign that it's GPT.
It's supposed to do one space now?
And it's funny because my kids always make fun of me when I'm like, you didn't double space after period. And they're like, we were taught not to. And I think that might be one of the reasons why, but those are like telltale signs now. So if you use the tools, or even if you don't, just be careful of your writing and your responding when you do use the tools, because it could be, if you have someone more sophisticated on the other end, they could be saying, oh, this person is generating this stuff with AI. They're not real.
Yeah. And just a quick reminder before I go to Simone, if you look at my name, I said Michael Falato / Full Throttle, or Beth has email revenue. Put your first and last name in these little windows, and either your company or what you do. Too many people have just one name, or not their whole name, or not what company. People are staring at you for an hour on here. So take advantage when you're on these roundtables to kind of brand yourself a little bit. Put something in the background like I have, where you have your company name. You know, those you can get on Fiverr for like $5, or you can even probably ask ChatGPT to make you a background now. I mean, these I had to pay for back in the day, but I think you could probably do those for free now. Simone.
You're right. Hello, everyone. I'm Simone Benrouma. I'm from Tunisia, North Africa, and I work for a Canadian company, entertainment industry, finally, because I'm done with the cybersecurity technology, etc. So now it's entertainment. I have a question for Donna about the security of the AI tools that take notes. In fact, currently we're using Fred Fireflies, and we are controlling the access, and we use it only to review the notes and the what happened during the meeting, so we can summarize the needs of the clients and properly respond to the clients. We do control access, so are we secure or not? And also I have a follow-up on what Mike said. In fact, I use custom GPTs, and I put that M dash and emojis in the instructions, and I noticed that it respected. So they don't really write me something with the M dash, neither the emojis that we don't use, that are not branded.
So Donna, can you answer that?
Yep. So I haven't done a review of Fireflies, but I can tell you that the governance that the EU AI Act says that they need to document, how these things are secured. What are the model cards? What's the architecture of it? What are the policies? What is it sharing? Nothing. They should disclose all that stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that you want to ask. Any AI, like so I used to use Grammarly, and I stopped using it because like it's kind of like a note taker. If you're using it to correct, hey, here's my proposal to buy, this company, this merger and acquisition thing that I'm working on, you just get that to someone. If you haven't reviewed, where that data goes and who it's shared with, you might have a problem. So I generally start with no, like don't share, and then I introduce AI. I don't like note takers in my meetings. I want
I love them. If I don't have them, I'm screwed.
I don't want them. Like I said, consent
you're
is a
Same
thing.
here,
I'm there
Michael.
with you, man. I'm there with you. I
you're
panic when it's not there.
You're a CISO. I'm a sales guy, true and true. I need it. I don't remember yesterday. So if I don't have that, I'm done. I'm toast now. And I didn't like getting them at first because we had gone 5 years ago. I'm like, so you're gonna listen to my call and tell me how shitty I am. Thanks, VP of sales. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like it, but
Well, again, it's going to be you and somebody else in that conversation, and if let's say you're doing with an M&A, proposal or something
no,
for
you're not.
a
No,
company,
yeah. You're not gonna
I
do
mean,
it.
and well, sorry, Michael, because there's more
No,
than just you in this conversation. You've got to kind of like
no, you gotta
accept
adjust.
what the client's preferences are, and
I
I
always
think
turn it off. I always turn it off if they ask. Raquel.
yeah, yep. But I'd start with no, like to answer
Yeah.
the question. I haven't done an assessment on fireflies, but my default is no, is don't
Okay.
use it,
Thank you.
but check.
Raquel.
Thank you, Donna. Okay.
Raquel. You're on mute. Raquel, you're on mute. Let's go to Brenda.
Hi everyone, how are you? I just popped something in the message there. I'm coming to New York on the 8th of November to launch my very first book on Times Square up in the billboards. So if any of you are around there, let me know. I am an emotional intelligence coach. I'm also a motivational speaker. I work with a lot of companies to turn their human dynamics around. But I have two tips, Michael, just to add to some of the stuff you were given there. So I thought it was very helpful. I have LinkedIn Navigator that's fed by Octopus. And I have a little message that goes out to the people I've selected. And my message, just in terms of how I do my sort of outward messages, are just very honest, very raw, very short.
Yeah.
And so I'm probably the opposite of AI, I reckon.
Yeah.
I said, I loved your profile and I want to expand more in your region. How can we talk? And what I've learned, folks, is that actually video is much more personable. I was putting
Yeah.
little messages in. I was getting no feedback. Once I put my sizzle reel in there, I've had loads of conversations. I've actually got a leadership program to run in Edinburgh in November for a company in Italy out of that little personal touch. And another just quick, easy thing for you all to do in terms of a background, just take a picture of your business card, save it as a JPEG, load it into your laptop, and add that as your background.
Yeah, that's a good way. Or you could just put your logo. But I would say that I love your profile. Sounds very like generic. I'm not being like ripping on what you're saying there, but personally, when I do an invite, I don't put anything in the invite.
Okay.
And then once they accept it, then I'll say something back. I'll invite them to something versus just giving them a compliment. You got to ask a question to open the door. If you just compliment them, to me, you're not gonna get that. But and then if you put your sizzle reel in there, now you're selling too soon. So just think about that. That might work, but you're gonna get flagged. I mean, I do LinkedIn automation, like you use Octopus. I use something like that I like it a lot better because I used to use Octopus, but always make it about what can you do for them versus here's what I do. Let's go to Gabe.
Hey, Michael, good to see you again, buddy. How are you?
Good.
Good. So I am on the other side of Michael's business. So we do cold calling. We do 11 million cold calls. We have 175 physical human SDRs doing outbound. One of the things we've tested this year and is going really well is an app that we've co-created. So this is self-serving a little bit, but it's because it works. And it's to what Brenda just said, it's adding video and voice notes in our DMs on LinkedIn. Now that's completely free and able to be done on a phone, but it's impossible to do it on a desktop. And with 175 reps on my sales floor, I don't want them sitting on their iPhones and Androids all day long trying to prospect on their phone. So we've created this tool and it brings voice and video notes natively in your LinkedIn DMs.
Nice.
Now, where I see this is that, Michael has amazing automation to start conversations, but as a second stream to bring you into it from a human perspective, really to bridge that gap and take your voice and video to the next level. I'm going to give you one story that happened literally today. The guy that is the editor in chief of Entrepreneur Magazine, you may have heard of him, may have not. His name is Jason Pfeiffer. I asked him to be on my podcast when he connected with me on LinkedIn. He's got 250,000 followers on LinkedIn. And he said no, he was too busy. And then I made a nice little video that was hyper personalized to him, explaining to him exactly why I want him on the show. Sent it to him in 2 clicks of a button. Took me 30 seconds to do it. And his response is, let's do the show next week. So that definitely cuts through the noise, and it's an added layer to Michael's automation. And if you want any questions on it, let me know.
Yeah, that's a good point about what Gabe does or what I do, or thinking about use people like Gabe does. I don't hire a bunch of SDRs. I mean, there's still a need for them, but teach them how to be more personal and be more human. A lot of the SDRs, when I was doing this in HR tech, were clicking buttons and doing HubSpot messages and cut and pasting. They're going to get burned out, right? And then you see a lot of SDRs getting laid off right now and using AI. You can't just use AI for human-based stuff. And then obviously, if you can use someone like Gabe or anyone else that has guns for hire versus adding all that infrastructure, I would say it's a good idea. Raquel, did you get your mute to fix? We still can't hear you. Let's go to Lance.
There it is. Sorry, I was muted there. A couple things. One, going back for a few minutes ago, the legal thing. I was talking to a lawyer a few weeks back in Maine, and she went, "Hey, are you recording this call?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You needed to tell me at the beginning." She got really irate about it. So then I started to put in my on-screen name dash recording. So I told her, look, it's up there now. And I've had other lawyers go, "Hey, you're recording?" I'm like, "Yeah, I actually told you." Anyways, it was a weird little ripple, but some lawyers got really sort of went right up their nose. The second point was just talking about outbound, when you're trying to get a message. The most popular one I've ever used on LinkedIn, email, whatever, and I've been doing this for years. My lead question is, "Hey, can I bounce something off you?" That's it. Full stop. Almost everyone goes, what do you need? Right? And then I go for the pitch, right? But it's shocking. Like, we ran some LinkedIn campaigns a couple of years ago, and I remember on Friday at noon sending out this over the weekend, "Hey, can I bounce something off you?" By Monday morning, we had over 600 responses saying, "Can I help? What do you need?" And it was like, this is the worst question ever, because now we got 600 leads to, a lot of them went nowhere, but it created 600 unique conversations in a weekend. But anyways, that's all. I just want to throw that in there.
I threw in what I put in, and most of you guys kind of got a message on this, how you got on the roundtable. But for me, that's not a bad question, Lance. But I, like someone that's been doing this for a while, it just screams like, what are you trying to sell me? But if it works,
absolutely.
But if it works, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the analytics and what your sales and what you do. But I just, for me, I like doing this for hundreds of clients. I just want to make it something about them, something that's opinion based, or something about location based, or looking at something that they've done in the past, whether go to event, they're a speaker somewhere, or they might be attending something. It's like, how do I align with someone and then open a door and not pitch? Because there's a lot of pitch slapping, especially in LinkedIn, which will get your LinkedIn flagged, and then it says, "Are you using automation?" So I don't ever had that happen to me, because I use automation and I don't pitch slap for my clients. So
well, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, the next thing is the second message is like, "Hey, we were looking," depending on how if you go for the juggler too quick, as you know, like it's a
Yeah.
put off, but it's like, hey, we had this white paper on, or, you know, you can start with a lead magnet or something after that,
Right.
right?
But again, with the white paper, Lance, what do they know about you that they think that I should read your white paper off the bat? You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to bag on what you're doing.
Oh,
I'm
no,
just
no,
saying,
no.
I'm
Yeah,
just
I'm
saying, like,
saying
people
as
post
long as it's a,
white papers and like,
yeah,
I
no,
don't know
but
who you are.
again, if it's a targeted lead list that you actually do have some, you know, you don't want to spam people. Nobody
Right.
appreciates that, right? So as long as you're on target with this person probably could be a prospect and, you know, anyways, that's the nuance
Yeah,
of it, I guess.
and you definitely want to think about how can you create something like this. Like, this is not like me being a rocket science doing a roundtable, just me get enough messages out and work with other people to do this with, right? So start being your own creator of your own events instead of paying other people to be of their events, you know, or do both. But this is not that hard to start. You can just do like 10 people a month to join a little executive roundtable that's going to help their business and your business. But I used to do intros the whole time here. You know that how horrible that roundtable was? Hi, my name is Michael Falato. I do this. I live here. And we went around the whole group, and it was horrible. And people were coming back. And now I just say, listen, let's just talk about what people want to talk about and open up the floor. Tell us two things that you learned that were great or not good, you know, or some tool. And this is where I learned about Blaze and Fireflies and all these other things that I've no clue that I would never have heard about. Michelle Childs, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Thanks for having me, guys. Michelle Childs from Illinois. I work for Sandler, and Sandler is a data-driven, performance-based company that's really in some of your worlds that I know the gentleman that just mentioned he had like 175 salespeople may make sense on the enterprise side. And what I do, most of our clients bring us in because of some KPI that is hurting them right now, some pain point like this, you know, roundtable is for maximizing pipeline and revenue growth. Other of you may be individuals, and we have a franchise side of the business as well. But ultimately, it's about communication skills and having adult to adult conversations and being able to control those conversations. So one thing, Michael, you mentioned it in your when you have somebody sign the email and give that reason or what would make our conversation more valuable. At Sandler, I don't know if any of you have maybe heard of an upfront contract. So that's really setting the framework. And I see Doug nodding his head. Yep, setting the framework for the call and what's the agenda, what's the time, why are we here, and then what's the outcome? I hear a lot of you guys talking about what I call follow-up purgatory. And a lot of times, if you're presenting a solution without finding that pain point first, and they have that proposal, they have what they need, they have no need for us, be it us trying to sell something or get them on a call or get them to be on our podcast or whatever it may be. They already have all the information they need. So really just taking a step back, slowing down, setting that agenda up front and really making it clear as to why we're there in the first place and what that next step is.
What's the question I mean, I told you guys what I use. What would you put in the calendar so that you can make sure that you understand why there is a call set?
Are you asking me, Michael?
Yeah, I'm asking you, Michelle. Like, do you like that question, or do you have a better question?
Oh, I'll have to think about that. I think for me, my upfront contract never changes from call to call outside of the agenda. It's, you know, hey, thanks for your time. I have us down for 30 minutes. Is that still good for you? Yes, no. Here's what I hope to accomplish in our call. So I think if you put in something like it sounds like you are struggling to maximize your pipeline or you have issues with bottom of funnel or deals slipping quarter to quarter, you could put that in there. And then at the end, basically, I say, you know, we'll have a conversation, we'll have a dialogue back and forth, and we'll decide together what the next steps are. If it makes sense for us to continue on a conversation, put more time on our calendar, that's great. If not, that's okay too. We can part as friends. But it really allows that it eliminates that mutual mystification of someone being surprised as far as what's going to happen next. They know what that order is going to be. And if they're on a sales call, they know at some point you're going to talk about decision makers, about budget, and about closing that sale. It's not like oh boy, here comes the close, and everybody gets uncomfortable.
I really like, help me prepare for this call. Please share any information that would help.
Yeah, I think for your world, that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense, and it gives you something to put in your agenda to carry that call forward.
Yeah, I don't put an agenda before the call because I want it to flow freely, but there's a plus and minus to that. And Sandler's a great, sales strategy company, consulting company.
Yeah, and I don't mean agenda when you are reaching back out, just when you get them, when you're in front of them, like stating why you're there.
Yeah. Kyle, go ahead, Kyle.
Hi, everyone. Kyle Harbaugh with Chief Go Officers. So what I do, I work with a lot of professional service-based businesses. I specialize in law firms. My partner specializes in financial firms, so financial advisory firms, CPA firms. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Michelle, what you brought up was really good. I appreciate it. What I like to have in my Calendly, one, like you said, Michael, if they're asking about my annual recurring revenue or head count or whatever, those are all just turnoffs. I'm like, I actually canceled a call. I canceled a call. I wanted to talk to this person and I got in there and there was like 15 questions deep and they're like, what's your ARR? What's this? What's that? I just said, it doesn't make sense to talk anymore. But what I like to ask for is I say, I have a wide network. Who would you like an introduction to? And then that way they can freely put up their hand and say, I would like to talk to this type of person. And then I know they have that type of need. Maybe I can help them, like I can fill that need, or I know somebody I can introduce them to. That's a way I like to approach that question or that issue. The other thing wanted to quickly bring up, we built 2 AI systems from the ground up, and you have to be careful with this information and understand how things get passed and in what environment you what environment is safe or not safe, and so I think this is a really valuable conversation that a lot of people need to think through. It's just like what is safe information to put out there, and the best practice is just don't give it to it in the first place. If you can, before you put in your notes, scrub out all the names, and then give it the notes and say, can you summarize this for me for a follow-up email or something like that, and then go back in and place the names as appropriate or whatever other sensitive information. That's very helpful.
Thanks, Kyle. I want to go to Guy Rubin real quick, who's a good friend of mine, and he has a master approach to really help him with some pipeline stuff. And Guy, what have you learned? Tell us a little bit of what you do and what you learned in the last 2 months that really helped you.
Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Guy Rubin. I was the founder of a business called Ebster and CEO of that business. I recently sold the company to a larger company called Forecast about 8 weeks ago. That business has also acquired Atrium. And last week or 2 weeks ago, we announced the acquisition of Copy AI as well. So they're doing a bit of a roll up in this space we call go-to-market. So if you're asking me about my learns over the last few weeks, I've just got back from Vienna. I was at the HG Capital Growth Summit, and every single one of the portfolio companies is moving to a kind of consumption-based pricing model. There was a lot of data and stats showing the organizations that are moving more to consumption-based are growing faster. So that was a really interesting takeaway for me. The AI adoption isn't slowing down. Everyone is moving in that direction, but people are getting very people take a lot longer than we'd expect to self-serve or to activate particular agents. So if you've got 150 agents in your portfolio in your service that you offer, expecting customers just to self-serve and activate those, it takes a lot longer than that. And so one at a time, even though you might be fully a fay with what you're doing.
Guy, I know, like from being in enterprise, that consumption base is hard. You can't predict the amount of money you're going to spend, and a lot of CFOs or founders don't want to do that just because they need to know what their budget is. So what's your thoughts on that? Because I'm not
Yeah,
quite as much.
it's a really valid point, and one of the biggest pushbacks. Ultimately, what we need to do as leaders in this space is align the services that we provide to the value that we deliver. And so the way people have tackled some of these challenges around consumption-based pricing is moving to things like buckets. So you might have a kind of a small, medium, and large bucket, and you might be able to tell the customer, look, you pretty much fall into this medium bucket, and we're only ever going to charge you, any more money if we deliver outsized value. And so things like that tend to get them a lot more comfortable. But again, it moves the challenge from getting a signature signed to actually getting the customer activated and using and getting value from what you're delivering. I've been involved in all sorts of businesses, in particular the payment world has a real challenge with getting customers signed up is one thing, but actually getting them using the platform to running their payments through could take a year, and sometimes the customers never get activated. So it moves that challenge even further down the road. So those that are old enough and got enough grey hair like me will remember the days where we were selling enterprise deals and capex deals. Then we moved to kind of this SaaS model where customers were paying over a much longer period of time, and eventually we'd make more money out of them. That was the theory. Now we're moving to this idea of consumption where much more of the customers even more in charge, and we need to make sure we're delivering they're really only paying us at the point where they're getting the real value. Now, a lot of businesses have got kind of a hybrid model at the moment. Maybe you've got a platform fee, maybe there's still some legacy kind of SaaS revenue streams that are still relevant. But if you don't already have an element of consumption-based pricing in your product, in your go-to-market motion, you might want to start thinking about it.
Thanks, Guy. Mike Hort is.
Can I add something? Sorry, can I add something?
Yes, sure.
Yes, one thing. I heard very careful about what we spoke about, the pricing issue. And there is one big mistake that we all do, and this is connected also to the way that we present ourselves. We all speak about value, but value is not defined. It's a soft term, and it's dependent on the circumstances. Therefore, because I'm for more than 4 decades in the sales arena and pricing, there is a different approach that can fit better, and businesses can earn much more money by thinking differently. We all think the same, but we need to flip the way that we are doing business, and instead of value, speak about contribution. Contribution, it's a monetized terms that it is well defined, that includes your ethical behavior, the KPI and other stuff. So it's a long story, but make it short. Change the way that you think, change the way that you create your solution, change the way that you present your solution, and charge more money.
Yeah, if you look at the challenger customer or challenger sale, which is a lot of based on, hey, I can teach you how to save money. You're spending $8 million, like you have an $80,000 solution. You want to solve problems, pains, obviously. That's one that's very popular in enterprise sales. That's where I come from. I mean, obviously what I'm doing now is not always enterprise. I'm helping probably growth companies grow faster just because it's a lot of those bigger companies already have infrastructures in. We're about time right now. Anybody want to make a last point that has not gone yet? To kind of introduce himself and just and say hi and maybe give us a one tip that's worked really well for them. Otherwise, we'll talk in 2 weeks.
I'm happy to do so if you'll have me.
Yeah, David, go ahead.
Hey, so I know it's not. My name is David Childs. I'm an account executive for an exhibit house, SWX Global. So nothing exciting. We just build exhibits. But because of that, I've had a lot of experience on the front end, like full cycle sales, how to stand out to people in a way that implies trust without them actually knowing you. And like it's literally been like the last 6 months of my life trying to figure out how to do that on LinkedIn. But it's like anything that breeds familiarity for them up front, or the assumption of familiarity is really what I'll lean on. Like I'll come in and like 3, 4, 5 of their posts all at the same time so that they see my name in the list of contacts that or in their list of notifications. Then I'll send the request to connect, make a note for an hour later, send them a message and just be like, hey, listen, you looked really interesting. I had a couple questions for you. And it's not any one thing that's gonna work for everybody. And I haven't found a way to necessarily automate that process.
You could actually automate that, David. I do that, but yeah, don't do that manually.
When it's an important enough connection, because I'm typically looking at like Fortune 100s or Fortune 500s at the
Your
furthest
top 30
out.
accounts, you should always be very specific about. But
yeah,
anything after that, you got to say, okay, how can I go for tier 2 and tier 3 with some sort of things that make your life easier?
That's what I'm here to learn, my friend.
Yeah. Well, give me a ring. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for making time. Again, if you ever want to team up with me to do this and you have at least probably 4,000 or 5,000 connections, then I could definitely team up with you and do it. If you want to obviously bring me a client or bring Mitchell a client or anyone else on this call, there's a button that says right by your name in the chat, 3 buttons that you could save your chat like that. I do post these videos on YouTube and LinkedIn of our roundtables because we usually talk about tips and tricks that people wanted to hear, but they couldn't join all the time. And yeah, just let's help each other, pay it forward. I mean, I do these for free because I want to get my name out there. Obviously, I'm a nice guy, but I do want to grow my business, and I appreciate everybody that's kind of helped us and just try to help each other out and give leads to each other, give advice. I mean, worst thing that you learn here is another tip and trick, and that's why I've kept this whole thing about tactics and strategies, because it changes every time we do this. We're not going to sit there and do we do these. I see people do these things and they bring out a deck, and it's like I can't pay attention to it. I have no attention span for it anymore. So engage your audience with this. Use this Roundtable Mastermind as a way for you to get leads, whether you use me to build that or you do it yourself. Podcasts are great, but if you don't have a podcast audience, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to do a Zoom call and we got 10 people that they're going to watch it. It's going to look very junior. So think about if you're actually doing a podcast and trying to use that as a sales magnet or marketing magnet, you're going to have to build it out and make it look like a professional production. I mean, my background's TV, so if the more you make it look like something that would be on TV with letter boxes and streaming and graphics, it's going to look nice. So God bless everybody, and we'll talk in 2 weeks.
Cool.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye-bye.